Okay, well, good morning. If some other people join, they'll just have to join when they do. But hope everybody's doing great. Thank you for joining us today. Today we're just going to go over some practical strategies on how to grow and scale your wedding business. My name is Noah. It's nice to meet you guys. Essentially, I work in the menswear space, like hopefully you all do. But a little bit of background, I joined Jason Lewis, which is a family business, in 2023. At the end of 2022, Jason Lewis, we did about 175 weddings. Last year, at the end of the year, we totaled over 300 for the year. So pretty aggressive growth in that time frame. And since then, I have opened another store, which we've been open about 11 months. So we'll kind of talk about how scaling that was pretty easy too, with some of the things that we're going to talk about today. I'm in Wisconsin, so Midwest, but these strategies can be implemented anywhere. Who should be in here? And that's the independent men's retailers. So pretty much anybody that's looking to grow their wedding business, whether you have no wedding business at all, or whether you're doing 50 weddings and you want to jump that number to 100. We are, with our 300 weddings that we did in 2025, about 90% of those were purchase package weddings too. We don't do a ton of rentals. So the purchase package thing is a huge growing possibility for a lot of menswear retailers, especially in the wedding space. So if you're not doing that, definitely something to consider. And this is pretty much for anybody that's looking to implement new strategies into their business to see some solid growth. We're going to cover 8 topics today. I won't make them too lengthy. I know we all have things to do, but there's some really good information that I just love to share with anybody that is looking to scale their wedding business. So I'm just going to dive right in here at the start. And that's just that every wedding, it could turn into a pipeline of future business. The fastest way to grow your wedding business, your business as a whole, is by referrals. The wedding business is so important at getting people that may not have ever even thought or considered to step into your store, and they basically have to go in there because they're part of a wedding group. We did the math, and out of our 300 weddings, there's about 7 people per average in the wedding, including the groom. So say you got a groom, say you got a dad or a brother or something. On average, you'll probably have 5 of those guys that are going to get married again in the future. So you probably think average of 7 guys in each party. Those 5 guys are going to get married in the future. So that one wedding of 7 guys essentially might turn into 35 more suits in the future. But the thing I like to touch on is that I think that number is much, much greater. You have to think about all of the people that are going to come in contact with the people that you took care of in that wedding. If they have a good experience, how much that can grow from there. So essentially, you have any siblings of the people getting married, even if they're not standing up in the wedding, their brother might be standing up and they got invited to the wedding, so they might be in for the process or know about the process and hear it was great. You have all the significant others of the people standing up in the wedding. Those people are eventually either going to get married or their friends are going to get married. They're going to talk about that experience. You also have the entire audience of the wedding. Anybody that's there that is like, oh, the guys look great. Where do they get their suits? You have all of the vendors, the photographers, the people that are at the wedding that are going to hear about where the men were outfitted from. So I genuinely think it's a safe estimate, depending on the size of the wedding, that these specific groups could turn into 3-digit referrals. Over 100 people are going to see these people, hear about how good the experience was, and tell people about it. The one thing that I like to mention about this specifically is with my experience with opening this new store. We're not in the same city. We're actually over 100 miles apart from our other store. So far at this new store, we've been open 11 months, and we've already done over 50 weddings at this new store. We did do a couple wedding shows down here, but I personally work with every single one of those bride and grooms that come in, and I would say at least half, probably a lot more than that, are people that were either in a wedding previously at our other store, which again is over 100 miles away, or know somebody that was in it. So that just goes to show how powerful this referral engine can be, because you could essentially expand into totally different markets. And if you took care of people good the first time, that's going to follow you to where you're at. The other thing that is really good that I kind of touched on before is these weddings. What they do is they bring people in that live near your store that may not have ever thought about your store. So, every guy that's getting married has a dad. If the dad's standing up, that dad needs to get brought in. You sell men's clothes, whether you sell all tailored clothing, dress clothes, or if you have casual stuff. I mean, that could turn into multiple purchases just on the days that they're getting fitted, and then in the future, if they're taking care of great for their son's wedding, the next time they need a dress shirt, they're going to come see you. So the referral part of the business is huge. So always keep that in mind as you're working with these parties. The other thing I just wanted to tell you guys about is how I do all of my consultations with my brides and grooms. I think this is really important because it just, again, reinforces the fact that us independent menswear stores are thriving because we do provide a service that you cannot get online, you cannot get at Men's Warehouse or the big box places. And I think that starts with making appointments. So if you allow these bride and grooms to set up private appointments or, in-person appointments, even if it's during your regular business hours, those appointments are going to make them feel, a lot more valued, a lot more special. Even if they're spending, the least amount of money possible, they're still going to feel like it's a very elevated, exclusive experience. And that's going to, again, generate into more positive reviews, positive feedback. They're going to tell their friends how great this experience was. And then when you are doing that consultation, there's so many opportunities to make, more and more off each of these weddings. The way I like to pitch it, and I'll just walk you guys through it, which is some stuff I picked up in other industries, but it's just been working great here for us. And that's the fact I never lead with, oh, what's your budget? If they come in and it's for a wedding, if you offer an inexpensive wedding package like we do, $300, you get the suit, shirt, and tie, you don't ever really want to lead with that. They know that's an option. They know that their friends have told them about that, or the other weddings they were in might have had that. They already know that you have a good price. And I think that having a competitive price is incredibly important. To be one of the best players in town, you need to have an option for the people that don't want to spend a ton of money, especially if you are trying to create that purchase wedding package thing where, you're trying to do a lot more purchase weddings and you want to compete with the people that are on the fence between renting and purchasing. It's always great to have a budget option. But basically the way I like to do it is when they come in, you're going to keep it simple. I offer them 3 options. There's way more options than that. They have hundreds of options and combinations, but they think it's 3 options. You think you present it as 3 options. They are going to pick one of them, or they're going to ask more questions about them. And basically the way I like to do it is they already know about that wedding package. So without mentioning the price, you just kind of show them, hey, we do this, wedding package, which includes your shirt, suit, shirt, and tie, or whatever you guys offer. And then even for the second option is not even an option the way I pitch it. I just say there's some things in between. And then I always like to pitch the custom option. If you want something special, if you want something unique, if you want something that fits properly, we have these custom options as well. That's another good time to kind of poke a little bit at how much money the bride might have spent on her dress, because the reality of it is most wedding dresses these days, they're in the multiple thousands of dollars. So to mention to a guy, you can get this $300 package, but getting them to jump to $800-900 you shouldn't be offended, or you shouldn't feel like it's offending them to ask for them to spend more. So without mentioning the price, you mention those 3 options, and then when you're going through it, you always have to sprinkle in, and then, shoes and belts are available, or pocket squares are available, because those things could add $100-150 to each wedding client there. But what I like to do is you just run them through those 3 options before you get any feedback from them at all. And then you open the floor to them, because they came in thinking, oh, it's a, $300. I'm going to pick my color and boom, we're done. But in reality, you said, hey, there's actually a lot more things that we have to offer. We have some things that can make it more special, more fun, more unique. And then they'll just start asking tons of questions. And that's a good way to segue into upselling, because that $300 package that turns into a custom suit. He tells his dad about it. The uncle's got money too and wants to play the game. So now all of a sudden you got 3 custom suits in a wedding party that could have, that would have been $900 for your 3 package suits. Now you're looking at closer to $3,000. So it's always good to never spend your clients' money for them. You don't know, even if they're the most frugal person in the world, they've been thinking about their wedding for 20 years. So they might be prepared to spend thousands of dollars on their suit. So if they want to give you that money, it's always a good option to give them the option to give you that money. So that's something that's been working great for us. We're doing, multiple custom garments a week now. About half of those are through the wedding parties. The grooms love doing that, especially with some of the options now and some of the vendors with like fun customizations, like the photo linings of the brides and grooms on the inside of the coat. You can do all sorts of cool things. So never be afraid to offer them stuff, even if it's, double or triple what you thought they were going to spend. The least they can do is just say, no, we're going to go with the cheaper package. So that's something that's been working great for us that I think you guys should implement in your stores for sure. But as that wedding business grows, I just wanted to tell you guys about how it's possible to do it with a smaller team. Like we still have less than 10 employees, and we were able to jump from that sub 200 number to that. Now with the 2 stores, we'll be 300 plus weddings, and we really didn't have to add much staff at all because we had efficient, processes that work great. So as you're looking for new processes, or as you want to implement new things, or even start, maybe you don't do any wedding business at all, and you want to start doing something that can grow exponentially, you need those processes and you need those systems in play. You need software, you need automation. What we use a suit tracker. So, full disclosure, suit tracker is a software that I developed with my brother when I came on board to our men's store, and it really changed how we do everything and allowed us to grow. We were in the binders with the handwritten notes. We've done all of that, and the reality of it is you can do twice as many weddings and have half the headaches, or not even half, less than a quarter of the headaches, just by implementing automation processes that everybody follows, that you can access all in one database. So if you're unfamiliar with Suit Tracker, basically it's a software system that'll allow you to group your whole wedding parties. You'll have all your information in one spot. You got client information, phone numbers, sizes, attire. You can have your ordering done, all tracks it in real time. That's a great software that we've been using, and it works great for scaling the business. So next here, I just kind of wanted to talk about how you can keep those large parties on schedule, because it is challenging when you do scale, and you do want to make sure you're not going to be running into an overloaded tailor shop, employee backlog, people missing the deadlines for getting their things fitted. And it's really good when you communicate with your groomsmen and your brides and grooms. That also is what they want. I mean, if you're doing a wedding business now and you don't have automation set up, I'm sure they call once a week, sometimes once a day, asking for updates on things. They want to know everything that's going on, because this is a huge day for them. So if you have a system in play that's going to automatically keep them in the loop, they're going to have a better customer experience. You're going to have an easier time in your store, and you're going to miss less things, and you're going to have less headaches. There's going to be less mistakes, which is going to, again, turn into better referrals, better reviews, and things like that. With Suit Tracker, you can automate text messages, you can automate emails, you can have things go out days before the wedding. Anything that you need to update your brides and grooms on, you can also send your brides and grooms a link that updates in real time. So, Susie, who's getting married, she could check that every single day, 5 times a day, and see, one of the groomsmen came in at 1:00 today and got fitted. So it just helps keep everybody in the loop. And in reality, automation is the only way that you can scale your business. If you are trying to do 300 weddings and you're going to manually text everybody, you're going to manually call everybody, it's just, you're not going to be able to do it efficiently, or you're going to end up having to spend so much money and hire so many extra people. Whereas if you just automate it, you can have it all done for you. So that's a very important part when you are trying to scale and get to a huge number without trying to overload your staff, is through automation. So that's very important. Same with the alterations. So I know you guys are thinking, how do you make sure all these alterations get done? How do you make sure all the fittings, the sizing, all of that? Again, it's all going to be stored in one spot if you're using a system like Suit Tracker, or if you find another system that is made for the menswear space, it's going to have it, all in one spot. So the measurements you can take on the sales floor, they'll automatically be in real time. So if you have somebody in the back organizing your weddings, putting things together, ordering things, they don't have to wait. They don't have to search through a bunch of information. When your people on the sales floor are using this, it's going to generate that in real time. It'll also generate your alteration tags. So you can even have your seamstress or your tailor involved on it. They could scan the garments and move them through a pipeline that you guys set up. So if they are like, hey, did they start my alterations? Did they start my tailoring? You can actually look right in their wedding, look at their garment and say, oh yeah, my tailor started that yesterday. It should be done soon. Again, all in one spot, saves you the headache. As you're looking for like systems and softwares to implement as you want to scale your business, what you should really look for is things that are specifically built for the industry that you're in. I know there's all these generic software systems. There's a lot of POS systems that try to integrate communication with clients. There's, Google Sheets, there's all those types of things, but unless they're built specifically for you and what you're doing, they're not really going to help you. In fact, the setup process and the overhead on, paying people to help you set it up and tweak something that exists to try to get it to fit in the box that you're trying to get it in is going to end up causing more headaches for you in the long run. If the client's getting a text from this company, they're getting their payment through this company, you're calling them on your store phone, it's just going to confuse them in the long run. So if you streamline it and have a system that is built for the menswear space, and you have a system where everything's in one spot and you can communicate with them freely and automated, it's going to make everybody's experience better in the long run. This next point here is probably my favorite on the slide, especially for a lot of these independent stores, because these are things that it's either your baby that you started, it's part of a family tradition, or it's a new business venture that you bought into, and there's like a lot of pride involved in that, and there's the way you do things, and you want to make sure it keeps getting done that way. And sometimes the unfortunate part is that means when you step away from your business, the fires start. The employees that are perfect every day when you're there all of a sudden are making mistakes and running into things. And this is just where creating a process, not only a digital process where you can have all your information stored, but a process within your culture of your store is very important. And it can be almost robotic, where you have everybody doing the exact same thing at the same time, because that's pretty much the only way you're going to make sure if an error happens, you know exactly why, when, and where, because something was stepped out of that process. It's also going to be the absolute best way to scale with hiring new people. If you have, 5 guys that have worked for you for quite a while and they're following the exact same process every time, and you need to add 2 more, so you're throwing 2 guys in that mix, you put them with the 5 that are already doing the exact same process every day, doing the same things efficiently, using the digital and software that you have put in play in your store. That's going to make it exponentially easier to scale. There's a story that I like to share here about a previous company I worked for. I worked for a car dealership group, and it was a gentleman that inherited it from his mother. They had 3 locations, and within 9 years, he had 13 total locations in 3 different states of major brands. Like, for instance, I worked at Subaru. We were the number 1 Subaru dealership in the world, and the reason that he was able to do that with his business was because everybody that worked there, depending on where they were, all of us salespeople were trained 2 months. We had the exact same training as every single other salesperson that worked for any dealership that this group owned, and they were all taught the exact same thing. Everybody was only allowed to do things one way, and when you have a system like that, your turnover can actually be quite high, and you can still scale and have everybody plugged in. So say you wanted to add another location or something, all you would have to do is pluck two of your good people from your store, plant them in over there, have the exact same process in play, and you could scale that at large. For instance, we just opened the second store, and our wedding process is already fully integrated and synchronized with both stores, and we can determine which suit needs to go where, who needs stuff shipped. You can split the parties up. Half the group could go to this location, half the group could go to the other. And the reason that's possible is because the process is the same no matter where you go. So I think processes are incredibly important in scaling any business. And I don't think that because we're unique and locally owned and friendly, we have to be any different. I think if we stay diligent about this, you could create, small conglomerates where you're at, and it's a pretty cool way to scale. So don't be afraid to set rigid processes and make sure your people follow them, because that's the best way that you can get to the growth and to minimize the problems. Lastly, I like to talk about prom because, like the title says on this slide, this year's prom kid is a 2030 groom, and that's very true. And if you look at the prom kids, they're going to eventually get married. So you have a group of guys, cool. Those guys will turn into 5 different wedding parties. But you also have, when they go to take their prom photos and somebody really likes what they're wearing, where did they get it? That other kid just found out, and both of his parents did. Every parent that's at the photos they're going to take before the dinner asks them, figured out where they all got their stuff. The siblings that are there to help them out or give them rides, younger or older, see that. The family members or significant others that came in with the kids to get fitted see that whole experience. And again, so you're just creating this referral engine through an entirely different part of your business that could turn into, one high school group of five guys that could turn into, 5 to 10 wedding parties, hundreds of more garments for you in the next few years. So it's always good to focus on those guys. And if you are doing rental groups with prom kids as well, Suit Tracker does handle rental parties that are not associated with the wedding. So again, in the same database, you can have your prom groups next to your wedding parties, all being ordered in the same dashboard, sizes saved, things like that. You can have customizable messages to go out specifically for the prom guys or their moms to pick up their stuff, or if it's rentals to drop it off. So just another way that you can add another portion into a system and a software that will then create that referral engine that's going to help your wedding business in the future. So I know we talked a lot about Suit Tracker. So if you guys are curious or anything, there's free trial. You can activate an account. You don't have to do anything except go to suittracker.app/activate and plug in your info. Otherwise, you can book free demos that myself or my brother would do with you if you want to learn how to Suit Tracker can work in your business. But I just want to say thank you for all you guys for joining today, and we'll just open it up to any questions. I don't know if anybody threw any questions in the chat. I'll look at that. But if anybody has any questions, now's the time to open the floor. And you can also, we'll have our emails in here too. So if you have any specific questions that come up at a later time, you can always reach out that way as well. Cool. Well, if nobody has any questions, I appreciate you guys joining in, and I hope you guys got some value out of this today. We'll probably be hosting some more of these too. So if you have anybody that that could benefit from learning some of the stuff you learned about today, or if you guys have any additional questions, feel free to reach out at any time. We'd love to help. I hope your wedding season is strong this summer. Thank you, guys.